-94 degrees Fahrenheit, -70 Celsius. Wind carving the ice into ridges sharp enough to draw blood. No moon, no stars. Just white static swallowing the horizon in every direction. At that temperature, a modern human loses consciousness in under 2 hours. Hypothermia shuts down cognition first. You stop shivering. You feel warm. You start removing clothes. Then you sleep. And you don't wake up. But 18,000 years ago, in conditions nearly identical to this, a family sleeps through the night. A pregnant woman, 2 children, maybe 6 and 9 years old, an elder with damaged knees. They wake at dawn. They're fine. No generators. No Gore-Tex. No emergency beacon 20 minutes out by helicopter. They had something else. A system. And for reasons we'll explore, modern society found that system so uncomfortable that we buried it deeper than the ice ever could. If you want to see how far this goes, subscribe and hit the bell, and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, because what I'm about to show you works differently depending on your climate. Here's what you've been told. Ancient people survived winter nights by keeping fires burning until sunrise. They sealed themselves in caves. They wrapped in furs and huddled close and waited for spring. That story is clean. It's comfortable. It fits our assumption that survival in deep cold requires constant warmth. But the archaeology doesn't support it. Shelters from the last glacial maximum show fire pits, yes, but the charcoal layers are thin, discontinuous. The ventilation structures are too small for all-night combustion. The smoke would have killed them faster than the cold. So here's the question that should unsettle you. If they weren't burning fires all night, how didn't they die? The answer is a system. 5 interlocking steps that required no individual heroism, just absolute adherence to a sequence that couldn't be broken. Step 1. Shelter geometry. These weren't random windbreaks. The designs show intention that borders on engineering. Double wall construction, with a gap of packed snow between layers. That gap is insulation, but it's also a moisture trap. The floor is dug below ground level, sometimes 2 feet down, because cold air sinks and you want it pooling below where you sleep. The entrance faces away from prevailing wind and drops even lower, creating an airlock. The opening at the top is minimal, just enough to let carbon dioxide escape without bleeding heat. Inside, there's space for maybe 8 people lying down. That's not coincidence. Step 2. Clothing engineering. Forget everything you think you know about layering. The system required 3 specific zones. Inner layer against skin. Thin, soft hide with the hair removed. Its job isn't warmth. It's moisture management. Sweat is the enemy, and that layer wicks it away from your body before it can freeze. Mid-layer. Thick fur, hair facing inward, trapping dead air. That's your insulation. Outer layer. Wind-sealed hide, hair facing out, treated with fat to shed precipitation. Seams are overlapped, never stitched through. Any gap is a thermal failure. You don't remove this clothing. Not for weeks. Not for months. Brushing. Not washing. You adapt to the smell, or you die arguing about comfort. Step 3. The collective body. This is where it starts feeling invasive. 8 people do not lie down randomly. Children sleep between adults, always. The elder is centered, surrounded, because their metabolism runs coldest. The pregnant woman is positioned where the most body heat converges. This isn't kindness. It's mathematics. Lose the pregnancy, you lose future labor. Lose the elder, you lose spatial memory of resource locations. There's no privacy. Your body is a heating unit, and its placement is assigned. Step 4. The thermal capsule. Multiple hides stitched into a single enormous sac. Everyone climbs inside. It's sealed. The air you exhale, the heat you radiate. It has nowhere to go. The microclimate inside that capsule climbs, not to comfort, not even to what we'd call warm, but to a range where human metabolism can sustain itself for 8 hours, maybe 50 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe less. Outside the capsule, inside the shelter, it's still well below zero. Step 5. Metabolic fuel. 2 hours before sleep, the family eats fat. Rendered fat. Marrow, organ meat rich in lipids. This is mechanical. Calories are thermal currency, and you're about to spend 8 hours as a small furnace with no external fuel source. The children eat first. Their surface area to mass ratio bleeds heat faster. The elder eats specific cuts, liver, kidney, nutrient-dense to support compromised systems. The pregnant woman eats last and eats most. It's not a feast. Sometimes it's nauseating, but refusal is not optional. Now here's the first micro-twist, the thing that inverts your assumptions. Before sealing the thermal capsule, they extinguish the fire completely. In negative 70-degree cold, they choose darkness and falling temperature over the comfort of flame. And this is the forbidden choice, the one that modern recreations refuse to replicate because it feels like suicide. But the logic is airtight. Your body produces moisture, breath, sweat, insensible perspiration. In a sealed environment with a heat source, that moisture becomes humidity. Humidity contacts cold surfaces and condenses. Condensation freezes. Ice forms on the interior of your clothing, your shelter walls, your communal hide sack. And ice is a thermal conductor. It turns your insulation into a radiator, pulling heat directly out of your core. A fire feels like safety. But in a sealed winter shelter, it's a delayed execution. So they snuff it. They seal the capsule, and they enter absolute darkness. Which brings us to the second micro-twist. The most important survival tool is not a spear. It's not a blade. It's psychological patterning. 8 people in complete blackness, pressed together, unable to move freely, breathing each other's air. If one person panics, heart rate spikes, metabolism accelerates, calorie burn increases. They overheat inside the capsule, start sweating. Moisture saturates the insulation, and the entire system fails. Panic is contagious. One person spirals, 2 more follow, and by dawn you have bodies. So the elder tells stories, the same stories, every night, rhythmic, predictable, almost hypnotic. The cadence matters more than the content. It's an anchor. It confirms that reality is stable, that this has been survived before. That morning will come. Some families used tactile objects. Small carvings, worn stones, passed hand to hand in the dark. You grip it, you feel its edges. You remember that you're still you, that the blackness is temporary, that your mind is not in control of your body's fear response, but you can ignore it anyway. Calm is a technology, and it's the one we've lost most completely. Dawn comes, but you don't leap up. Rapid movement after 8 hours of near immobility can trigger cardiac events, especially in the elder. You unseal the capsule slowly. You rotate joints. You assess extremities for frostbite indicators. Only then do you relight the fire. And here's what the fire is for. Not comfort. You're relighting it to melt the ice that formed overnight on your gear, your tools, the shelter's interior. You're drying out the condensation before the next cycle. The fire is maintenance, not warmth. Clothing stays on. You brush it. You check seams. Months pass before removal. This system worked. Ethnographic records describe similar protocols. Archaeological evidence suggests its wide distribution across glacial environments. It kept people alive in conditions that would kill us in hours. So why don't we know about it? Because when the climate warmed, societies had a choice. They could maintain the collective sleeping protocols, the enforced intimacy, the nightly submission of individual comfort to group survival, or they could choose privacy, autonomy, personal space. We chose comfort. And once we did, the old system became something we didn't speak about, something that felt primitive, invasive, embarrassing. The knowledge was suppressed not by disaster, but by preference. The record preserves what we chose to forget. So here's my question for you. If you were dropped into that night, -94 degrees, no rescue coming, would you do it? Would you seal yourself in the dark with strangers, surrender your privacy, extinguish the fire, and trust the system? Drop your answer below, and next time, we're going deeper. Into the 3-day protocol. When the storm doesn't stop, and the choice becomes even stranger,